You have just woken up from a deep slumber.
Yes.
It is currently 1 a.m. on a Wednesday. Welcome to the Scorpion King Watchers, aka the
The
Sting of Time.
the scorpion sting of time watching.
Uh, this was technically a very uneventful watch. We recorded an episode of the podcast, which turned out horribly. I think we both immediately considered it
Yes,
possibly
it
the
was
worst podcast episode of any podcast ever recorded.
it was very bad. Nobody liked it, but luckily nobody saw it.
Yeah.
Also,
It was recorded and then immediately became corrupted, the file. So now we're doing it. It's actually almost a week later,
yes,
which means that in some sort of way, a very uneventful watch with no special considerations has become somewhat special in that we have never waited this long to record the podcast.
yes.
Can you
Uh,
remember anything about the watch?
um, no, or I think I remember. No, but actually that was after. So no, I
Mm.
don't think I remember anything from the watch
Uh,
because it was that uneventful. In fact, I am struggling to remember why the podcast was so bad
mm.
as well.
I think uh, for several reasons. I think partially because we had almost nothing to talk about,
Mm,
which I don't think makes for an amazing podcasting
no.
experience, uh, which meant I was grilling you on Barry Lyndon,
Ah, yes,
which
I
you
watched
had
Barry
watched.
Lyndon.
Uh,
Yes.
and yeah, I think that was about
Well,
it. We didn't really talk about the movie much. I think I asked you if Scorpion King was a better movie than Barry Lyndon, and then
mm,
I sort of construed a reality where you gave three things in which Scorpion King was better than Barry
mm,
Lyndon, which would then mathematically end up in a reality where Barry Lyndon is actually the worst movie, which I don't think is actually true.
no. Well, since then, I have had the time to also watch Adam West's 1966 Batman the movie.
I don't care, and neither should you. You should stop caring about that and start caring about the Scorpion King. Maybe we could do what we were actually supposed to do that episode, which was sort of reflect a little bit about the year of the Scorpion King. This is recorded afterwards. We are in 2023, but we did
Mm,
watch the movie in 2022, which means
that's
there is no more
that
2022.
is 2020 true.
Mm. Um, do you have any? Do you have any good, any great life lessons learned after watching the movie for 39 times?
Life lessons learned. Um, I think initially I will say that we knew from the start that the project would spill into the next year was something that we were keenly aware of from the start. And now that it has, it feels like even though we have made a lot of progress, we watched the movie 39 times, it feels like there are 39 times left now
Mm.
rather than not that many times left. And before the new year, I expressly uh, expressed the opposite feeling
Mm.
that now we will soon have it creeping upon us that there are not that many watches left. Any planned or unplanned or imagined uh, modifiers of watches will have to be done, or they shall forever be lost because there will be no more watches left. All that seems somewhat reversed to me now,
Oh,
that
okay.
it seems like there are a lot of watches left,
Mm.
despite everything. But
I
I might
don't.
not
I
feel
don't.
that next
Yeah. I
watch.
don't agree with that currently. I'm still in the same mindset. I should say. I think 3 months. This is 5, but imagine this was 3. 3 months. I got you for 3 minutes. Break time. 3 months of Scorpion King. Slightly more than 3 months, since we're doing tomorrow. We're doing 40 with Proxicon. Though we will be watching the movie individually for the first time ever.
Yes, that'll
Um,
be an experience.
uh,
I've never watched a movie by myself.
no, so that's going to be interesting. Also going to be interesting with Proxicon because Proxicon is a wrestling fan, which
Mm.
means Proxicon might like Dwayne a lot. We did have Jonathan on,
I was gonna say that, John, but it was a bit vague, at least in my memory, if Jonathan actually liked Dwayne or
no,
not,
I think he
or
ranked
what.
him like pretty low in terms of wrestlers.
Oh, okay, that
And
might be how it
also,
was.
there's sort of a social lubricant there in that we have known Jonathan since he was like, I've known him since he was 14, I think.
Yes, it was like a baby.
Yeah. So I think I can, even if he did like Dwayne, I think I can disrespect him. But Proxicon, well, I hardly know Proxicon at all. And you hardly know who Proxicon is.
Yes,
And he definitely doesn't know who the fuck you are. So,
but I don't like wrestling.
no, neither do I. Well, I like Randy Savage.
That's true.
He's a wrestler. Anyway, so we're doing 40. We have 1 week plus 3 months left. I think 3 months seems a long time, but in terms of Scorpion King watches, it isn't really. I don't think.
No, not really.
It's sort of. I think 4 watches of the Scorpion King doesn't feel like a month.
No, I mean, I feel like time becomes a bit
Abstract.
convoluted. Yeah, because and I think it has hit me especially with this corrupted Sting event, because I wouldn't say I've lost track of time, because I haven't, because I know time passes even though the podcast is not uploaded. But it has felt different, and it's a testament to the habitual uh, power of doing the same thing every week
Yeah.
with relatively consistent proceedings.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, we'll see, I suppose. Uh, that we might do an episode of Sting. That Sting might be 53 episodes. We don't watch
Uh,
the Scorpion King for episode 53, but I just like to see what.
what it feels like to do Sting but not watch the movie.
Well, yeah, or rather, I would like to have a document of what it feels like to not have watched the movie, but
Mm.
might have to do more than a week's break for that, but we'll see. So as far as Sting plans, I suppose this is some sort of New Year's update, right? We
Yeah.
have Proxicon on, and might have some other online folks in the future. We'll see about that. Uh, isn't it the easiest in the world to book anyone for this thing? I think Proxicon sort of signed on immediately because I think he believes this podcast is some sort of like Like this is my podcast about
Yeah,
creative stuff or something,
like
which
the
isn't true.
this is a real thing
Yeah,
and not you and me watching the same movie 52 times.
yeah. Um, but I suppose we'll see how he reacts to that, or they. I'm not sure. Maybe he. I can't remember if Proxicon is non-binary. If so, then redact all the things I said and replace them with they. Anyway, other than Proxicon, I've reached out my slithering tendrils to some other people. Most people have not responded. I am hoping that means they just haven't had the time, but it might possibly mean they just don't want to. There are some repeat guests upcoming. I think in January we have Emil again, who will probably make an on-camera appearance instead of just
Yeah, we'll see.
art.
Considering that if all goes to plan, Emil's appearance will be offline.
Yeah.
I would be very impressed if he managed to weasel his way out of being on camera.
Well, he could say, "Don't put me on camera," and instead put an image of a paint Emil on the screen
Mm.
again. In which case, I would feel compelled to oblige him.
Yeah, we could record it in like on a sofa and just have Emil be off screen, and we're talking to nothing.
Anna, who has guested the podcast before, first guest, uh, is probably gonna make one more. So very late, maybe like 49 or something. I feel like we're gonna have to reserve 50, 51, and 52 for ourselves
Mm.
and do something.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm starting to feel that the IKEA watch is in increasing peril the way things are going.
yeah, but it's gonna happen, so don't worry
Mm.
about that. Marcus is coming back.
Marcus, esteemed guest,
Yes,
and we know. I feel like Marcus is like a special guest because he's one of the truly confirmed regular watchers of Sting of Time.
yes,
So
absolutely,
I wish to hear more about his experience having watched every episode.
exactly. And for all these repeat guests, we're obviously gonna have some sort of truer connection. I feel like to these people
Mm.
because they will have watched the movie more than once in either way you look at it, a pretty unreasonable time frame because they're all gonna have watched it like within 6 or
Yeah,
7 months.
and Marcus also expressed a desire to watch the director's commentary
Yes,
for his second watch, which will then be our
second
second
time.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah, second watch of the director's commentary, which will in itself then also be a unique thing. So
yes,
it could prove to be the most unique Scorpion King watch of all time,
yes.
all Sting of Time,
Well, wouldn't it? I don't know.
of
I
all
yeah. Okay,
time.
so never mind. I'm sorry. So those are sort of loose staying plans. We of course do have the ever present looming live commentary track
Mm,
from us, which I feel will be. You know how when we had Sam on, he basically
yeah,
didn't get to watch the movie. I feel like
yeah, poor Sam.
without a Sam there, but not a physical Sam,
Mm,
but in our heads, if we're doing a live commentary track for someone, there is a sort of abstract metaphysical Sam there who we will be talking to,
yeah,
but who cannot even try to interject. I have a feeling our combined live commentary track will be almost unbearable.
yeah. It'll be like some sort of weird porridge that nobody wants to eat.
Yes. Perhaps, maybe we should plan it out. Maybe not. I don't know. It feels a bit weird to do that.
I love planning.
But yeah, we're definitely coming up on some sort of point where these things have to happen or they will never happen, as you have.
Mm.
Uh, so expressed. Mm, but they probably, just in terms of this project, I do get the impression, especially from the state of this conversation
Mm,
and the state of the last conversation,
mm.
that they probably ought to happen if we are supposed to be able to record these episodes for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's we have joked in the past, and I have said similar things to this when this has come up in the past, where both on and off camera I've said how like dude, we really do not have anything left to talk about. It's wow, it's parched out there. It's a crisis, like that sort of thing. And at this, I feel like I'm so through the wall and on to the other side on that matter now that I have completely stopped like caring about the fact that we have nothing to talk about. I am starting to become, like all right, time to sit down and do the podcast. I gotta think of something to say. I just don't think of anything to say anymore. I just sit down and cross my arms and do not move at all
Mm.
for however many tens of minutes.
Yeah.
And
How long? Because you don't have a timeline. I do. I get
mm,
to see. I am Capcom,
yes,
as it were.
I only get to approximate such things.
Yeah. How long do you think we've been doing this episode for?
4 minutes,
That's not a truthful guess.
14 minutes.
Close, 17.
Mm,
And it feels excruciating, I would say, at this point.
yes.
This is pretty horrible.
Uh, how do you feel about the thing in the movie The Scorpion King that is uh, how do you feel about Kelly Hu's acting performance in Scorpion King, the last watch, which is probably the same as every time we watched, but
It's hard to
wow.
say. Maybe the movie changes in
Mm.
minute ways.
Or well, actually, never mind. I thought of a real
Okay.
question, but it's similar. Who puts in the most work in Scorpion King acting wise,
Mm.
and with the best, like best results? Who is doing the best acting job in the Scorpion King?
I feel like those are two different questions.
Well,
Who does the
pick
best
either one.
acting and who is putting in the most for their performance?
Well. Stick with putting in the most work. Done.
Because for the first question, I would have definitely just said Bernard Hill. I think
Mm,
because I think for what Philos does. I'm answering both questions, by the way. So, uh, for what that character does and how little screen time he has, I think he comes off as aloof, sort of hyper focused, intellectual, but also pretty goofy and funny without being a weird slapstick character, which every other character in the movie is if they have to
mm,
be funny. I would say the only acting goof I think Bernard Hill does, which is truly a commendation for him, to be honest, considering the rest of the movie, is when the panning shots of Armpit wrestling the Amazons. I feel like he sort of phones in his reactions
mm.
a bit.
You know what that reminds me of? You know the how we were extras in that TV show.
Yeah.
I wonder if that isn't cut out, maybe we should compare our performance to Bernard Hill's and see how
If we're Oscar worthy performers.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because
What was the show called?
it's
A
called
Fake Patient, isn't it?
yeah, The Fake Patient, a Swedish TV show, and I don't think it's aired yet.
No. Is it a comedy?
Well, I don't know. It's Swedish. It's
It is calculated to premiere on TV4 and Seymour 2023. So we will be able
We,
to do it at some point.
yes,
Probably
we
not under the runtime of the Sting of Time, but we'll see.
no, it might be sneak itself into mysterious future projects.
Yeah. So for the effort question, it's gonna be between Stephen Brand and Michael Duncan.
Mm,
No, Michael Duncan Clark. There we go. Uh, I always have to start saying the last part before I realize which way it is.
yes.
I might give it to Michael because he's dead, and it seems like Stephen Brand probably gets enough praise as is. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's the reverse.
Mm.
I think
I think
you can commend Michael, especially for his physical acting,
yes.
which I think is, at the very least, very passable. At times good. I think the fight between him and The Rock in the camp is actually pretty good.
Mm.
I don't hate it, which is saying a lot, seeing as I've seen it
Yeah,
39 times.
or like there's the things to hate about the fight are completely the fault of extremely weird editing and cuts and like bad continuity between the said cuts, like stuff like pushing, Michael kicking the table and it's sliding away, and then they cut to the table sliding in a completely different direction
Mm,
into a place that didn't exist before, and that sort of thing.
mm.
But that's not a part of his performance, so to
No,
say. That is a part of the cutting of the movie.
no, exactly. And yeah, so that's good. I think Stephen Brand, for the amount of screen time he has, does a very commendable job as well. I'm sort of struggling to think of parts where I think he fails to live up to the promise of the movie. I feel like
Mm,
he's a pretty consistently portrayed character. I suppose it's the end, but that's script writing. That's not acting.
yeah,
So uh, I probably give it to Stephen Brand.
yeah. I think I'd probably give it to Steven Brando as well, especially when it comes to physically demanding acting. He certainly has his fair share
Yeah.
in the movie, and you know, he has to kick a lot, and it's harder than it looks. And
Hmm. He also walks. Like I don't know. I feel like he. Hmm. It's kind of hard to say because I wouldn't say that I think Memnon really exudes that much kingly energy. If I'm being honest,
no,
he does exude like Cena villain plus
mm,
sort of energy. Um, but I do think it's evident that he at least tried to give the character a bit of physical gravitas.
yeah, like in the way he walks
Yeah,
and the way he does other things.
exactly. Um, and I
Uh,
also believe when I watch Memnon, I believe that Memnon believes in his vision of the world.
mm.
I don't look, and we've talked about this extensively, but I don't look at Memnon and see
A weird, like a weird schemer,
yeah, or
like
comic book villain or something,
exactly. Memnon shows a lot of regal energy as he sits on his throne and berates everyone around him uh, with his gleaming dagger
Mhm.
at his hip.
I wonder if one can do a watch where we try to list inconsistencies and sort of vagueness and plot holes, because just
Yes,
talking about Memnon and the throne makes me think about.
but you remember that I said
Yeah,
I
you
have
suggested the goofs, but I don't know if the
secretly
goofs.
suggested. But the goofs include plot
Oh,
holes
they
and
do. Okay.
continuity errors. So
Yeah,
that
but
it is exactly that.
yeah, but if we did it, then we could, presumably fill it out a lot more extensively and all encompassing. But the part where he sits down on the throne and he talks to Cassandra, the sorceress, who has just returned and is trying to deceive Memnon, which, spoilers, doesn't work. He does that thing where there are a bunch of servants in the room, and he goes, what is it he says?
Yeah, he doesn't say
Make
leave us. He says
make ready or get the thing, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, bring it,
Yes.
something like that.
Bring the stuff. And then they leave, they go backwards. So like he's sitting here on the throne and they leave backwards. And then he talks to the sorcerers a bit, and then he comes down the throne and he goes, and then people enter in with stuff, and it's kind of
It
weird.
makes no sense.
Yeah, it's really odd. It seems
like was the which was the command for bringing it in, and the stuff they bring in is the snakes for the snake urn test. But it's like if he had not said bring it before, what would have happened when he did this?
Yeah, I wonder if this is just like him being glad this stuff has showed up.
Yeah, like because the snakes appear, where the camera pans to show the snakes, and they are clearly already in the room. So he can't.
They've just arrived, so he couldn't have.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
isn't let them in. It's
exactly.
but it could be
like,
start setting it up. Maybe that's the thing.
It is not something for.
Oh, do you know what we did realize about the movie last watch?
No.
Something actually did happen, and it is sort of spatially and palace estate related, which this is. Because I was gonna say, when they say bring them in and the guys leave, the snakes show up like 5 seconds later. It's really quick. And we talked about when Matthias rolls the thing and he falls down, I don't know, 5 stories of palace.
Yeah.
And he shows up in the bathroom with the sorceress. Obviously, he's chased by Thorak, who's 5 stories up. And Thorak is the guy who breaks down the door in approximately, I don't know, 20 seconds.
Yeah, in the past we have had, we haven't really touched on it extensively in the past, but it's kind of been like the silent agreement that the guy who breaks into the bath afterwards, like breaks down the door as Dwayne flushes himself and the sorceress, that guy is not Thorak. That is just like a guard, because you never see the face of the guy, but it is extremely obvious, as we noticed in the last watch, that the guy who breaks down the door is Thorak, because aside from the head, it is clearly Thorak's body and the Thorak's axe, like all that stuff. So he does indeed
make his way down there.
Exactly. Factually make his way down there at incredibly high speeds.
Yeah, and it's, there are several things. If you want to talk about, like, I wouldn't call it plot holes, but it's kind of weird. Because obviously you could make up whatever reason. You said they have a fire escape. Maybe they literally have a fire escape. But I think that scene is odd in so many ways. It's like they didn't really shoot any real reasons for Matthias not instantly splatting and dying. He's literally going terminal velocity, and I think he catches on like one sheet.
Yeah, exactly. With and it's not even like implied that this chief he catches on slows his descent in any way.
Yeah.
It's not like this like Jackie Chan stunt.
No. He doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. Like spin in it.
Might
or
as
anything.
well not be there.
Yeah, exactly. So he should just be dead. When he jumps down, The assumption from Thorak and the people chasing him would presumably be he's gonna die,
Yeah.
because not only is it like, disregard the fact that he doesn't catch on anything.
Mm.
He has to go through a window which is literally the same size as him before this can even occur, which means there's like an astronomically small chance that he's gonna fall through the window, and then you have to count, is he gonna not die even if he falls through the window? So even before he has hit the window, Thorak pushes some people down and he goes, follow him or get him. What are you
Go
waiting for?
get
Go
him.
get him. Yeah. And those two guys die, which is sort of like, I guess maybe it's there to show that Thorak is just a sadistic bastard, but it it is very weird.
Yeah, and it's funny too how the guards he throws after Dwayne, who are clearly implied to have died
Yeah.
from the fall, they fall a shorter distance and have a softer landing than not much softer,
No.
but a softer landing than Dwayne. But they are clearly implied to have perished
Yes.
from the fall, which makes it like even more.
Well,
Why
Dwayne is
why
just
did he?
built different.
Yeah, I know it just comes down to that, and that's awful.
I
And
also think it's weird that when he falls down and hits the splats on the floor, the sorceress is taking a bath. She is attended by two servants, presumably. Um, they immediately, because what happens from Matthias' perspective is he falls down, he stands up a bit disorientated because he just fell down and hit a concrete floor, or sorry, a stone slab floor, and he draws his sword a bit bewildered, right? But before he has done that, the second he hits the ground, both the servants leave the sorceress, who we know is the one, like, absolutely most prized,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe possession, I guess, is a way to, from Memnon's perspective, call
yeah,
it.
like if you ditch the sorceress, you would be
Yeah,
decapitated 50 times at
exactly.
least.
And they do it before, maybe he's just dead. They don't know at that point. They
Yeah,
scream and they run away, which is also super weird.
yeah. So that's like an additional, people assume that I don't know, that Dwayne survives this, like just instinctually that this is something. If someone falls through this, they are about to get up.
Yeah,
Is what
there's danger
yeah,
there.
and that is ludicrous.
Yes.
It is not correct.
Yeah, it's very weird. And then there's more weirdery, and then there's the entire weirdness about the bathtub and the
Mm.
drainage. Like all of that is
Yeah,
so
like
poorly made.
why the bath is like if it's just supposed to be like a regular drain, which makes sense. Then I mean it could have a drain, but it's also like why is it so
Yeah,
big?
why is it man sized?
And you know also like for this kind of like I would argue that you could discuss a bit like would is it necessary for that bath to even have a drain? But I can see how it's like they build a palace and they build a bath with a fucking drain or whatever, and it makes sense. But uh, in terms of like
Mm,
the sewer system or whatever, it's so unbelievably stupid to have such a huge drain in the bath and like the thing the the plug or whatever is just a huge stone slab which you have to go in the bath and like
yeah,
excavate.
I wonder
uh,
though. Um, I wonder if the movie implies that this is basically a fountain. Because it is being fed from the wall, and it is being fed as the sorceress is in it. But
yeah,
then again, is she bathing in cold water?
I don't know.
It's
It's
weird. Basically, it's very odd.
this is just this is just that FF14 cinematic fountain gate all over again of that streamer guy or whatever who's like, how does this fountain work? How can the water get up there? You have no idea what I'm talking about,
I
so
don't know what the fuck that is.
never mind. What I'm saying is fountains are very advanced, and the people do not know how they work, and so is the case with the movie Scorpion King.